All right. Hey everybody, welcome to Passion Works Yoga. I'm Erin, really happy that you can join today. Today's practice will be all about the feet. For class, you might want to have a block, kind of like this. A large book would also be helpful and would work for today's purposes. And also, a folded up blanket would be helpful. I have this yoga blanket that has a little more of a kind of like a stiffness to it. So I often recommend using like a bath towel if you don't have a kind of firmer blanket. Just allows for a little more height when we fold it up, and you'll want that for today's class. Thank you for being here. Just taking the next moment to kind of settle yourself into your space with your props and acknowledge yourself for showing up for today's class. Sometimes that's the hardest part, is getting to the practice and settling in. It's not always a easy thing to do. So yeah, let's start in Tadasana. So you can start standing on your mat or seated in a chair. So I'll kind of show a couple different variations of what you can be doing for the feet today. So Tadasana, we plant the feet on the ground or another surface. So you might slide some blocks under your feet if you're sitting in a chair of any kind, or you could bring a blanket under your feet. If you're standing on your mat, your feet are on your mat. Just noticing how your feet meet the earth, just for starters here. Kind of building our Tadasana, our mountain pose, from the feet all the way up to the top of the head. So just gently pressing the feet down. You might even take a peek at them. You can lift your toes up and spread them wide, and then replace the toes down. And kind of letting that energy of your feet, the energy that's feeding up from the earth, travel up the legs. Thinking about your bones in your legs, the tibia and fibula, traveling to the knees. Gently hugging the knees together. Traveling up into the thigh bones. The thigh bones meet the pelvis. That energy continues to feed the pelvis, the belly, the chest. Let your shoulders soften away from the ears. Let your arms be heavy at your sides. And maybe you find a little lift of the collarbones, like the chest, we're getting a little broader. You might close your eyes as you lengthen up through the top of the head. You might even tuck the chin a little bit to lengthen the back of the neck. Not like the chin's coming down towards the chest or anything, but just a gentle drop of the chin. And I'll invite you to take 3 relaxing breaths. Whatever that means to you. Inhaling and exhaling at your own pace. You might let out an audible exhale at some point. A sigh out of the mouth. Arriving in your body. For the next few moments in Tadasana, notice your feet on the ground, your feet on the surface that they're touching. You might lift the toes and then put them back down a couple times. Feel free to match your breath with that little movement as well. Inhaling, the toes lift. Exhaling the toes down. Spreading the toes a little bit more. Let's do that once more. Lifting the toes up, spreading them wide, and then putting them back down. You can take a slow breath in here as you lift up in the collarbones again. Exhale, soften the shoulders down the back. And just for the next few moments in stillness, kind of taking note of any overarching sensations in your feet. And if there's any tingling, vibrations, maybe you feel some heat or cool sensation. If your eyes were closed, you might flutter them open and take a peek down at your toes, just looking at them. What do your feet look like? Just as they are. There's no need to judge them or think anything about them. Just taking a peek, taking them in. What are your feet like today? You might imagine your next in-breath moving into your feet. And your next out-breath moving out of your feet. Releasing some tension that might be held there, possibly. Let's do another breath like that. Exhaling tension out of the feet. Good. All right, let's slide the any props that you have under your feet out. If you're standing, go ahead and hang tight for a moment. I'm going to just show this variation of seated here with a block. So you can take your block, bring your toes onto the block, along with like the top half of your foot. So the ball of the foot can rest on the block there, and your heel can hang off the edge. And we're just going to lift the heel up and then press the heel down. You can kind of feel that sort of rocking motion of coming up onto the ball of the foot and then pressing the heel down. We'll do this a few more times. So if you're seated, you can keep on going with that. If you're standing, essentially, you can do the same thing with the block, or you can even just lift your heel up and just find that kind of lift and lower. Just wherever you are, finding what feels right. And as you're doing that, you might start to circle out a little bit. So you can kind of send your heel over to one side as you lift it up, and then drop the heel down and circle it back up. That's an option. You can stick with the lift and lower as well. And something I like about the circling is that it provides that sort of, feeling into the different parts of the foot. Different parts touch the block as I circle it out, rolling onto the big toe mound, the ball of the foot, the pinky toe mound. Just kind of feeling into all that. If you are circling, go ahead and circle in the other direction. Just a couple rounds here. And I just noticed that I started kind of slouching a little bit, just kind of thinking about keeping that foundation of your Tadasana through today's practice. We keep a lifted chest, we keep some kind of connection to the earth. I'm still pressing into my other leg, my other foot. Lifting a little in the belly, kind of lifting up through the armpits. Just some things to think about. All right, so let's lower down once more. Heel presses down, heel lifts up, and then just removing your foot, bringing it back down. Warming up the ankle, feeling into the structures of the feet. And let's go ahead and move to the other side. So you can take your block or your book, whatever you have, move it over. You can do this standing or seated in a chair. Toes and ball of the foot on the block. Just starting that lift and lower when you're ready. And I always like to kind of match my breath with the movement. It's not for everybody, so if it's not working for you, that's totally fine. But I find like an inhale lifting and an exhale lowering feels nice. It's an opportunity to kind of connect with the movement of my breath. Totally an option. Let's start to circle that out if you want. Just drawing the heel over to one side, lifting it up, rolling. If you are standing or without a block, please know that you can do this without a block as well. Your toes can be on the ground and you can kind of find that rolling action without the block. Just kind of adds that extra ankle mobility option. Let's circle in the other direction for a couple of rounds. Inhaling, lifting the heel, exhaling, the heel presses down. Lifted chest, rooted seat, pressing into that opposite foot. Let's do one more lift and lower. And gently coming back through the center. We release the block. Bring the foot back down onto the ground. And you can set your block off to the side for now. Just kind of settling into your seat again, Tadasana. Grounding through the sitting bones. Lifting the chest, feet around the ground. Or possibly props, breathing in and breathing out. Okay, let's cross the right ankle over the thigh here. So we're in this figure 4 shape, and if you were standing, I would recommend coming down onto the ground, sitting on the ground, or finding a chair to sit into. So we take the foot that you've crossed over and just start by holding on to it. So I'm going to take the same hand as foot, right hand and right foot, kind of clasp onto it so my thumb comes to the inside of my foot, the arch of my foot. And I'm just going to start by giving myself a little massage. So circling the thumb in that space. And this is kind of an opportunity to kind of give some attention to a space that maybe doesn't get it that often. So taking a few moments here. I've actually got both of my thumbs on my foot now. A little bit of circling, a little bit of pressing, kind of exploring what feels good for you. Breathing. And even though I'm focused on my foot, I'm going to keep some kind of attention in the rest of my body. And I'm lifting up in the chest still, pressing into that grounded foot. Okay, so from here, excuse me, I'm going to take my other hand, left hand, and I'm actually going to thread my fingers between my toes. And this is very strange for starters, feels kind of odd, and even a little bit challenging. Like my toes are pretty tight right now. They feel like they do not want to spread apart. Feels a little bit intense. So that's normal if you are experiencing that. No need to force anything. You can just kind of explore, what works for you. And I've got that little clasp with my fingers, and I'm going to hold my lower foot steady. So I'm just going to keep that hand on the lower foot just to kind of hold it, and then circling out the top foot here. So we got this little kind of rotation of the toes, the balls of the feet, circling out. I heard somebody call this shaking hands with your feet. which I really like that idea. Matthew Sanford at Mind Body Solutions, a wonderful teacher. Let's circle them the other direction. I like the idea of shaking hands with the feet. It's just like an acceptance. Yes, my feet are my feet. Hello, nice to meet you. All right. So let's go ahead and release that. Let your fingers go. Feel free to spread your toes a little bit, curl them in, just kind of feeling that movement after you've given them a little bit of space. Maybe give your heel a little squeeze. And let's go ahead and release that foot back down. Let's do the other side, crossing your ankle over the thigh. I'm starting with that little bit of a foot massage. Same hand, left hand on left foot is on top, and the thumb is just wrapped underneath to get into the arch of the foot. Just finding that little bit of massage here. Just kind of giving this place some attention. A place that might not always get it. You might notice sensations that come up here, like tightness or soreness. Just kind of taking in what your feet feel like. You might even notice the structures of your feet, the bones, the tendons, the ligaments, different things that put it together, keep it together. All right, so when you are ready, right hand's gonna thread in between the toes. So just finding that, hold, that shake, handshake with your foot. However it works for you. So again, this is not easy. This is feeling a little challenging. My toes feel tight. They feel like they don't want to separate. But I'm gonna give them a little bit of space. I'm not gonna push too hard. It's not what this is about. Just kind of finding a place that feels interesting. Being mindful and then circling your toes. Circle out here in one direction. Focusing on the top half of your foot, toes, balls of the feet. And continue to breathe. Notice the rest of your body here. If there's anywhere that needs a little recentering or regrounding, check in, adjust. And let's circle in the other direction. Breathing. All right, let's go ahead and release this side. All right, so 2 feet are flat on the ground again. Tadasana. You can sit, you can stand. Notice your feet on the ground. Lengthen through the sides of your body, through the top of your head. Let the earth kind of feed your body. Feeding energy up from the feet. Notice how you feel here. Just notice what comes up. Breathing in. And breathing out. Okay, so I'm going to focus on the tops of the feet now. So a little bit of a lunge. And I'm going to turn just a little bit over to the side. Well, quite a bit over to the side. So I can come into a kind of like a mini lunge. So scoot it pretty close to the edge of my chair. So just be mindful. Maybe hold on to your chair just to keep that, grounded, stable. And I'm going to bring the right foot out in front for starters. And then go ahead and flip to the top of your back foot. So you've got your back foot flipped under. So this is a variation from the chair. I'll show you a variation standing, which looks very similar. We're just finding that same kind of lunge, right foot forward, left foot back, bending into the front knee a little bit. So the back foot is flipped. And we're getting a little stretch in the top of the foot, the ankle even. And you can always play around with that. So possibly bringing a block underneath, if that would be helpful. Just kind of adding a little bit of height to the pose, height of your foot. Sometimes reaching it down towards the ground like that can feel a little funky, so just kind of deciding. I'm also feeling this in the front of my bent, my back leg. Feeling that stretch in the quad. So when you're here, continue to find that energy up through the body, lifting the chest. The front foot is grounded, rooted, steady. Let's take another breath in here. And as you exhale, just slowly start to release this side. Okay, moving to the other side. Take your time. Left foot forward, right foot back, or if you did the other side first, that's fine. I don't know why I'm moving my block there. Let's tuck the back toes under, flip the foot, and settle in. The top of the foot is on the ground. You could also bring a block under your foot if you want that extra height. Continue to press through your front foot. Lift your chest. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Good. One more of those. Inhale. And exhale, gently letting go. Coming back through the center, 2 feet on the ground. You can set your block off to the side if you were using it. Exhale. Okay, let's really get into kind of this inner awareness of the feet. So starting to think about your heels, pressing the heels down. The base of the big toes, pressing those parts of the feet down. The base of the pinky toes, pressing those parts of the feet down. And naturally my toes kind of like flare up a little bit when I do that. So just kind of checking in what happens with your feet. Again, you can be standing here. You can be seated in your chair. Pressing the heels down, the base of the pinky toes, the base of the big toes. And you might start to alternate, kind of switching it up, which points of the feet are touching the ground or focused. And sometimes I have a hard time explaining these little intricacies. It's more like a felt thing. So, you just kind of like explore your body here. What does it feel like to press different parts of your foot into the ground? Or is there a part that you naturally put more weight into? Is there a part that's difficult to press into? It's all okay. Nothing is, right or wrong. It's just an exploration, understanding who you are in this moment. What's your body doing? What's your breath doing? If possible, starting to find kind of like an even balance between those points in your feet, like the weight of your heels, the weight in the base of the big toes, and the weight behind the pinky toes are all evenly dispersed, if possible. It's an exploration. From there, we can let the earth feed the body, lengthen the chest, lift the sternum, and maybe you float your arms up from that energy from the earth And bring the palms together as you exhale. So we're in this Samasthiti position, equal, balanced, sturdy, rooted. You can press the palms together and let your elbows come out wide, lifting the sternum towards the thumbs a little bit. And breathing. Good. Inhale again. And exhale, just soften. Just kind of relax out of that. Okay. Next up, we've got this goddess squat option. So bringing the feet out wide. If you are on your mat, you'll want to step sideways so you can have both feet on the mat. Feet are out wide, toes turned out a little bit. I like leaning into my thighs a little bit when I do this, kind of hands on the thighs, arms straight, sort of leaning forward a little bit, shrugging the shoulders up to lengthen the sides of my body. I find that to be very grounding. Maybe try it. And just slowly start to lift back up, bring the hands off of the legs. We find that lifted chest, a little scoop below the navel. And then feel free to stretch your arms out wide and bend the elbows. So we've got this cactus arm shape, the elbows drawn back. You can stay here, or you can add a little bit of heel lifting. So starting to lift the left heel up. Exhale, bring the left heel back down. Right heel lifts up. Exhale, bringing it back down. And alternate again. Left lifts up on an inhale. You bring it back down as you exhale. Other side. Bring it back down, and let's lift both heels up and pause there. So we're kind of on the toes, pressing the balls of the feet into the ground. Lift your chest. Maybe even look up. And as you exhale, bring the heels back down. Bring your arms down. Maybe lean into the legs again for a moment. Just kind of resting, regrounding, breathing in and breathing out. Okay, let's gently come back through the center. Feet in line with the knees, in line with the hips. Breathing in, sitting up tall, and breathing out. Okay, let's grab onto our blankets and bring it out in front of you. And I have it so the fold, like this is a completely closed off side of the blanket. I would recommend that. So you have kind of like this open end away from you, pointed away from you. I'm gonna bring the tops of the feet, top half of the feet onto the blanket, and the heels are off the blanket. So this is similar to what we were doing with the block, but we're gonna kind of put a little more weight into the feet. So you may be standing on your mat doing this, you may be seated in your chair. You can walk your feet farther forward if you want, and then I'll offer leaning into your legs. If you are standing, I would recommend standing up tall, standing up and not leaning forward so much. As you're here for longer, you might choose to walk your feet farther forward, just keeping the heels off of your prop. I feel this in my calf muscles, the backs of my legs, the ankles, the kind of structure of the ankles, Achilles. I'm just kind of checking in with what you feel here. Here for another breath in, the structure of your body strong, your feet rooted where they are. And then let's start to fold over the legs. Just coming into a fold with your feet right where they are. dropping in. Maybe your head drops. You can sway your head side to side, rock it a little bit. Alrighty, whenever you're ready, you can start to come back up and just take your time here. Hands to the tops of the thighs, crawl your way back up. Bring your feet off of the blankets. And let's just walk the feet out wide and just do this little windshield wiper side to side. And when I do that, I really like to take a look at my feet and kind of see that rolling to the outer edges of the feet, rolling into the inner edges of the feet, alternating foot by foot. Just feels kind of interesting. And I like to think about the bone structures, the ankle structure, what it's doing, how it moves. Pretty fascinating stuff. So if you were standing, you might be seated and doing this little windshield wiper, maybe even on your back would feel nice, laying on your back and windshield wipering the legs. And we'll eventually start to move towards rest. So I'm going to take my blanket and just kind of fold it up a little bit bigger so I have something to just kind of hold on to while I'm in my chair and resting. Sometimes when I just have something to kind of hold on to, kind of makes my arms relax a little bit more. Kind of draping the shoulders down. You can inch your way to the back of your chair like I did, or come down onto the ground. And we settle in here for about a minute's rest, and you know you can always take a longer rest if that's the case. If you know you're going to want that, you can turn this video off and rest. I will be quiet for the next minute, just settling into Shavasana. Gently letting your breath move back into your body. I'll invite you to take a couple slow breaths here with the option to make a shh sound as you exhale. Twice more. Last time. You can make your way back towards your Tadasana or a comfortable seat of your choice. If If you'd like, you can bring the hands together in front of the heart. Thank you for being here today and exploring the feet with me. Wishing you a nice day.